Hey, Denise. Good evening. We welcome you to our city council meeting tonight. We want to welcome Troop 1715 from the Washington Fields area. Washington Fields 15th Ward, is that right? I've asked Brennan Shaw to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance after the prayer, and I've asked Councilman Segmore if he'll lead us in the prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, we're here this evening and convening as citizens and representatives of citizens from Washington City. We ask that would watch over and guide and inspire this meeting to the extent that thou seest fit. We thank thee for the beautiful weather we enjoy here. Give thee thanks for the wonderful people with whom we get to live and associate. Especially thank thee for the opportunity to govern ourselves, to participate in government, and to be involved in the decisions and the issues that make up a large part of our lifestyle and our happiness where we live. We thank thee for all the many blessings that we receive from thee every day, and acknowledge thy hand in our community and the many elements of our life that bring us joy and happiness. We thank thee for the help we enjoy and for the many blessings we have received. And ask that thou would watch over us this night. We say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance.
Wait, say, join us, have a stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. Thank you, Councilman Segmore. We'll move on. I probably should excuse City Manager Carter. He is ill today, so we excuse him. Oh, and Councilman Nyson also is recovering from some back surgery. All that heavy load he's had as a council member. Move on to item 1, approval of the agenda.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve the agenda as outlined.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Turek, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Staley, aye.
Truman, aye.
Thank you. Item 2, announcements. Any announcements to be brought forth you're aware of? Besides maybe Cotton Days?
Yeah,
Go
Cotton
ahead,
Days is coming
Councilman
up.
Staley. The Princess Pageant for the Washington City Princess for next year and royalty is this Saturday at 7 o'clock. Where at Pineview High School. You're welcome to come to that if you'd like. And a reminder, at the end of the month, we will be having our Cotton Day celebration. Starts on the 25th with a parade and a mayor's walk at 7:30 and mayor's horseshoe competition at 10 and parade at 9, I believe, breakfast and all sorts of activities during the week. And we will culminate with the Ironman the next Saturday, where these great council members will serve you breakfast and cook it up for you. Enjoy the bikers coming through. We'll move on to item 3, declaration of abstentions and conflicts. Anything to declare at this time, gentlemen? We'll move on to our consent agenda to approve the minutes of the city council meetings of 3/24/15, 3/25/15, and also to consider approve the board audit report for March 2015. Any questions or comments on those items?
If there are no questions or comments, I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes and the board audit report as outlined in the agenda.
Thank you. Have a motion to have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Truman, aye.
Staley, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Turek, aye.
Okay, those are approved. Item 5, special event. Consideration to approve a special event for the bike course of the Ironman 70.3 St. George Triathlon, May 2nd, 2015, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Applicant David Reed. No applicant. You're a different looking David Reed than I know.
Yes, I am. Good evening. I'm not sure why he's not here, but it's the same as we've had in the past, and we had some conversation. I'm not sure if in reference to that piece that we're working on is totally different than what we're talking about here. I think they're just wanting approval to have the event. We're fine with it. It's going to be the same course, no changes that way. So I would suggest we go ahead and
You know, he put together a really nice packet in our folder. So
Right.
we're able to read through that. Looks like, I don't remember the Highland Park jog. Maybe that's new. Maybe it was there last year.
it was there last year. It was the first
So
part. of
same
it.
course,
Goes
it
up and
looks
back.
like.
Same course, no changes that way. And personnel wise, with all of our public safety and ourselves and fire, we'll be able to handle it. So
So our park thing being closed, we have to specifically notify the public on, chief? Because I
What's-
mean, we're not
what's
closing
be-
any entire roads.
no, there's nothing. And they do all the they'll do door hangers on Highland Park residents up there, let them know, and that's all pretty much standard stuff. So they got it covered. Looking forward to the pancakes.
If there's no other comment, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion that we approve the special event for the bike course of the Ironman 70.3 St. George Triathlon on May 2nd, 2015 from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
I'll
Thank you. I'm
second
sorry.
the motion.
I have a motion and a second.
Turek, aye.
Sig Miller, aye.
Staley, aye.
Truman, I.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is approved. Item 6, public hearings and related ordinances. Item A, continuation of the public hearing to consider amending the city code, amending portions of Title IX zoning regulations, Chapter 18 signs, Section 20 special standards for commercial signs on Buena Vista Boulevard, Telegraph Road, Washington Parkway, and 300 East, applicant Washington City.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we've seen this quite a few times, but this is the consideration to amend our sign ordinance. We've had a chance to get, I think, both groups. We had certain councilmen here on one night and other ones who weren't. And then when those showed up, the other ones weren't. So we've kind of, hopefully everybody's kind of talked to each other. I don't know, or had a chance. This is kind of what staff took out of all the meetings thus far from where we started and added all these things. And now it seems like we really went full circle and came back and just simplified what's in place now. And I hope that that's fine. Basically what we're ending up doing is just as you look at the screen here, we're changing the title of 9-18-20, which is special standards for commercial signage on, as it reads right now, Buena Vista Boulevard, Telegraph, and Washington Parkway. And what the proposal ends up being, after all said and done, is we're going to strike Buena Vista Boulevard and let it revert back to what all the other commercial standards would be, just on standalone lots there. We're going to add 300 East for future possibility, and we're going to limit Telegraph Road, and it's going to be from 300 East to 300 West will remain as it is today, with the monument style type signs. And we're going to shorten up the Washington Parkway from Telegraph Road up to Commerce Way. Commerce Way is the roundabout, just in case you're wondering right where the Maverick is. So we're just going to limit and have the special standards on that short stretch from Telegraph up to the roundabout, basically. And it will only be, of course, on the west side of the parkway, because everything on the east side is part of Sienna Hills community there. That's there is a little bit of commercial right where that big dish that ended up there, and supposedly IHC still owns a piece right there that maybe they'll put a clinic in someday. So their signage would be under the Sienna Hill signage plan. Everything on the west side of the street will fall within this special standard. So that's basically the change. So we basically redone the title to read as you see, special standards on Telegraph, Washington Parkway, 300 East. And then letter A changes to do the definitions of define those areas that I just mentioned about the 300 to 300, Telegraph to Commerce Way, and to add all along 300 East for future possibility. That may never happen, but since we're here, that would be a good place to put the special standard in place, I think, as we discussed in our previous meetings. With that said, this is staff's proposal. Basically, this is the part that we're looking at. So I'm glad to answer any questions and have discussion with the council.
Just so it's clear in my mind, so I'm assuming the roadways identified there, that's going to stay with the monument signs. Anything outside that is whatever the zoning allows.
Whatever the zoning allows. As per the matrix in the back of the section, if you've had a chance to look through that, it kind of talks about. So basically, since we're talking, what brought this all about was Cottontown, am I saying like Cottontown? Cottontown Village, yes. In Cottontown celebration and everything. So the Cottontown Village is the one who asked for the increase or something to change for them. They'll now fall within even, and that's something I talked with Councilman Staley about. I didn't think about it, but they're classified actually as a PUD, but they're the only commercial PUD we have. Our zoning book, I don't think back when it was put together, they didn't think about PUDs in the commercial sense, because they're all labeled with the residential zones. I'm hoping it's okay with council that staff would, when this comes, I'm just going to make an interpretation as I have with everything else in Cottontown Village, that they fit in a C1, C2 type of development. And so I'll just consider them that way, even though they are zone PUD, but because they really don't fit the definition in our sign ordinance about PUD, it's more residential PUD. I think that was an oversight. And the next time I change something in the sign ordinance, I'll update that to get that clarified with that, and call out a commercial PUD in those little boxes that did define. So that would be the only really hang up, and I'm not too worried about it. So with that said, I think we're going to leave everything on Telegraph like it is now.
And I appreciate the work you've done, and I know we've had some healthy discussions and debate about it. Seems like we've kind of come full circle, but at least we've defined the other areas that we want to maintain the feel of openness versus sign clutter. And I think we've talked about the fact that we put all that money into our nice planters and trees and flowers. We don't want to block that up with signs. So I think this is a good move.
I think the other thing was, I'm sure Councilman Sadie is going to bring it up. We were just wondering if you may want to cut down even in the areas, because we allow for a 2-story building to go up to 15 feet. Council may want to consider just having a maximum of 10 feet high for anything between 300 and 300 in a monument style, but still let them. And we even talked about maybe, I think, squishing up maybe the total maximum square footage. Instead of up to 120 square feet, we'd want to maybe drop that down to 100. So you end up with at worst case scenario, a 10 by 10 block as a sign.
Well, and I think Councilman Truman really had a lot of foresight with that. And that's, to me, it's not a bad thing to have this sign ordinance go back and forth and kind of, mull it over and get it right. And so that was one of the things that I think even is more to what he was saying would be to even be a little more restricted as to the height limit and the total square footage on the restricted areas. So I think that's a good recommendation, to go to a 10-foot max with 100 square feet of mass, for lack of a better term, and whatever other input you have on that, because I know that was something that you felt strongly about.
And I think once the cat's out of the bag, you can't put them back in very easily.
And especially with signage.
So I think it's important, if we really want to keep downtown, that open area, park area, I think that let's put it where we want it. So I prefer the smaller, the reduction in size that Councilman Staley's talking about.
Okay, we will probably have to adjust this, but I'm not too concerned. I hope Council Starkey isn't, because our original proposal had different changes in A and B, and we really mixed up B, but we can just go back to say B will only change as maybe part of your motion. It's up. I hope that's fine, instead of tabling it and coming back with a different ordinance, because really the original proposal was to change the title A and B. This is what actually the Planning Commission reviewed. So you can, I would just think that we're modifying their
Are you
recommendation.
concerned that they have the chance to see it again?
No, I'm just worried about what we've brought tonight as part of this, that we were only going to change the title in A, but then after talking today on the phone with Councilman Staley, and then him let me know of, other conversations that we might want to just add in B, that we're going to change, you want me to go back and modify the height and the overall square
Dimensions.
footage as it relates in letter B of section 20 there.
Is anybody in the council concerned that there are, from the comments you've heard before, that anyone that has made a special effort to talk to the council about their concerns or their likes or dislikes for this, that change would be something that would surprise or change any of their comments?
I haven't had any, and I don't see anybody here this evening that even has any interest in what we're doing on the sign, so.
Kind of what my impression has been also. I think based on that, I'm comfortable with that, Drew. I don't,
Okay.
unless you see something.
No, it is, and I'll just go back and I'll get that B changed in there to leave it all 10 feet and only be a maximum of 120 square feet. Everybody else will be grandfathered in, of course, who has existing stuff beyond that, but any new signage which I can't see that many of them even popping up in those areas that are already in the downtown area of change. So I'll modify section B reflect the 10-foot maximum, regardless of 1-story or 2-story. It'll just be 10 feet, maximum on the height and no more than 100 square feet. So nothing will end up being too long looking. Unless, of course, they only make it 5 feet high and go 20 feet long, but hopefully nobody would do something like that. You really cumbersome, I think, for them on their front yard setback.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Any other comments for Drew? It's a public hearing, so we invite any in the public that have an interest or a comment on this. Why not? Please state your name and what production is going on while you're.
Mr. Mayor and distinguished council members, my name is Jamie Young, and I appreciate the opportunity to address you for a few moments in support of the sign ordinance. Also like to thank Mr. Ellerman for his work on the ordinance. My name again is Jamie Young, and I am one of the owners of Brigham's Playhouse. We've been open to the public since February 14th, 2014. During those roughly 14 months, we've been warmly received by the council and the mayor. And we'd like to thank you for your support and your help. We've also received a warm welcome from the community and from the tourist base in the area. We've had nearly 23,000 people come through our doors since we opened. We recently received the Consumer Choice Award for Best in Southern Utah in the live theater category next to Tuacahn and Utah Shakespeare Festival. So we feel that in our first year of operation that we've received quite a bit of success. And what that means for the city of Washington is not only more people coming to see shows in town, but each of those theater goers will also visit the shops, restaurants, and many of the tourists we have been informed are even staying in the local hotels as well. So we believe that it's bringing some great economic stimulus to the area. We hope that it will continue to do so. We've also received hundreds and hundreds of comments and compliments that the level of culture and entertainment and enrichment we've added to the community has been greatly appreciated. Now, lest all of this sound like a total bed of roses, one of the biggest complaints that we receive from our patrons is that it's difficult finding us, and it's difficult finding out what we have running currently as part of our show. And to answer the mayor's question, currently we have the Scarlet Pimpernel running. We do support the sign ordinance because in our particular case and those others in the Cottontown Village, it will help us greatly in being able to promote our business. Right now, we're only at 1/3 capacity and about only 50% of our break-even point. And one of our biggest problems is being able to attract an audience, and so this will help us. So I do encourage you to vote in favor of the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it. And if you haven't been to any of the plays, they're outstanding. We bought our season tickets, so coming Friday. Anybody else? Thank you again for your comments. We appreciate that. Now I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Do you have a second?
I second the motion.
All right, thank you.
Truman, I.
Staley, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Turek, aye.
Okay, we'll move on to the consideration to approve an ordinance amending the Washington City Code 9-18-20 signs.
I'll make a motion, we approve an ordinance amending Washington City Code 9-18-20 signs with a further refinement that we, in the areas designated, we reduce the maximum height of the sign to 10 foot and no greater than 100 square feet.
Councilman Truman,
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second.
Turek, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Staley, aye.
Truman, I.
Thank you, that passes. That sign up, Robbie, will you? Okay, item C, public hearing for consideration to approve a zone change application Z-15-03, requesting to change the present zone from A20 agricultural to RA1/2 residential agriculture 1/2 acre lots, property located approximately 300 east, 2700 south, applicant Ray Cox.
Thank you, Mayor, and I apologize. I keep trying to bring up the color one that you have in your packets, and every time I click on it, it kicks me right back to my front page. So that's happened last week in the Planning Commission meeting, so there must be a gremlin on that color photo. So we'll put up the black and white. You can enjoy the color from your view if you want to bring it up. It's a little bit easier to follow, but this is a request for a zone change of approximately 9.79 acres. The requested change from the current zoning of Ag 20, which is agricultural 20 acre minimum, to a proposed residential agricultural 1/2 acre minimum, or the RA1/2 zoning designation. Applicant is simply wishing to rezone this parcel for future residential development to put some homes in. The general plan land use designation for this area is the low density residential. Actually is R110 or R112, but you can always go up above as long as you don't go below. So staff's fine with that, even though the two zones designated are smaller, but we'll take the larger lots in this case. The surrounding zoning to this parcel is A20 to the north, and the residential agricultural 1/2 acre, which they're requesting, to the west, the east, and the south. The staff has reviewed the requested zone change and finds it conforms to the general plan and to the zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission reviewed the request at their March 18th, 2015 meeting, and they unanimously recommended approval of Z-15-03 for the zone change from A20 to RA1/2 to the City Council, and based on the findings that you see in your report. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that the council might have.
Yeah, this question is not so much about the zone change, it is that roadway that is going to run right along the side of the property there by the Pheasant Meadows. Future plans, is that road going to be improved all the way over past Fred Nelson's old farm and connect in?
Well, to my understanding, the dedication was already given, right, Mike? That's what I thought we found out. On the Pheasant Meadow side, the dedication was already given to the city. This developer will be responsible for half that
I
road.
understand that.
The other half is, I think, where the dilemma may end up being, that we can't really have or force him to build out the whole road. But I think Lester looked into it, and I don't know if you had a chance, but I think it is already dedicated to the city. So I hate to say this, but it sounds like I'm going to let Mike say it.
Yeah.
It has been dedicated, their half has been dedicated, but back when Pheasant Meadows came in, they were granted a waiver on doing the improvements there until such time as a deferral, just like we do with the Old Town stuff. Our dilemma is there's no developer, there's no anybody to go back on other than every one of those property owners. And that's our only option, is go back on every one of the property owners, say, now you have to pay to build this road over here. So that's something we're gonna have to decide how we're gonna handle that, or if we're just going to build that half of the road ourselves.
No, and I guess the reason I asked that is I know the folks who live right there on that corner lot, they seem to get flooded often from the canal company because nobody takes care of the dirt that gets graded into there and the weeds, and their yard's flooded. It'd be nice to figure out how to fix that problem when that development's going in, and the canal company involved to see what they're gonna do with that
Yeah,
ditch.
and then unfortunately, it'll probably end up on the city to deal with that problem, which would be piping that irrigation ditch and finishing the curb gutter, sidewalk, and roadway improvements.
I know that the people out there appreciate when you went and put down what was left over from that mulch material. It seems to be kind of wearing thin now, though I don't know if there's any way to, like, the traffic along that road keeps increasing with the new Mall Drive. So to the extent we can
Yeah,
make it go through, it'd be nice.
The millings work really well as long as people keep their speeds under 20 miles an hour, and that, once you get over that, then they start washboarding it and pushing it out. And
And then you get the farmers who dump their dirt on
Dump
top of
the
it as
dirt on it,
well, so
yep.
it doesn't help.
Exactly. And there's one farmer out there that'll do it just out of spite, so.
Okay,
Would we finish that road at the same time as the development comes in if it did come to us to do that?
I don't know, we'd have to look at it and see what kind of funds we'd have, you know. Council knows very well how short we are on road funds, so.
The double R 18 tax.
and
Roads were crazy.
so what we're saying is Chris Millsap is gone, the developer.
Yeah, developer's gone. I mean, it falls back onto the property owners. And we
But is-
certainly could go after every one of those property owners in there and see if we can get it out of them.
When we say he's gone, has there been a bankruptcy or something that precludes requiring him to
Yes.
come in and do that?
And it actually got recorded against every lot. So once he sold every lot, then now it's recorded with the lots themselves. So even the homeowner should be aware of it when they purchase
When
their
they
lots,
purchase it? Yeah,
as being on their deeds.
I guess it may not hurt to approach the homeowners first and see what they want to do.
Well, and that's exactly what we do. We'd get with the HOA that they have out there and bring it to their attention and see from there.
Because they may want to just clean up the mess they've got back there.
Exactly, because it's a drainage problem, a dust problem. It's,
Mike?
Are you done, Drew?
Unless there's any
Any
other
other questions? Thank you, Councilman Truman.
questions, so.
This is again a public hearing. Any of you out there that may be interested in this project, welcome to come up. If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Go
Mayor, I'll
ahead.
make the motion to close public hearing.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second,
Thank you.
Truman, I.
Bailey, aye.
Seg Miller, aye.
Turek, aye.
Okay, we'll move on to consideration to approve an ordinance adopting the zone change request Z-1503 to change present zone from A20 to RA.5 zone.
Mayor, just I guess a comment or two. It's, you know, I wax sentimental about farmland and agricultural zoning, and it's sad to see another application for the area that we used to call the fields and that actually used to have fields in it. But I also recognize that property owners have the right to rezone their property, and I'm at least grateful that this one is to the half-acre lot zoning.
Yeah, they're at least
That's
keeping
better
it
than-
consistent.
Better than quarter-acre lots. It's not a farm, but I guess,
Quarter acre lots with a mud pond for weekends.
yeah.
If there's no other further discussion, I'll make a motion. We approve an ordinance adopting zone change request Z-15-03 to change the present zone from A20 to RA.5 zone.
Thank you. Have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Turek, aye.
Seg Miller, aye.
Staley, aye.
Truman, I.
That is approved. Item 7, final plat, consideration to approve a final plat for Westgate Hills Phase 2C, located approximately 140 North Cliffside Drive. Applicant Richard Rogers. Hello, Curtis.
Thank you, Mayor. As stated, application for the final plat of Westgate Hills Phase 2C. This particular part of the subdivision is proposing 10 lots, and the area of coverage is 12.26 acres. The zoning at this particular subdivision is PUD, or Planned Unit Development. They had an amended preliminary plat approved back on January 14th, early this year, to clean up a few items on it. But this particular original preliminary plat was approved many years ago. Staff's reviewed the requested proposal and finds that the proposed final plat conforms to the approved amended preliminary plat. The Planning Commission reviewed the request at their April 1st, 2015 meeting. They unanimously recommended approval of the final plat for the Westgate Hills Phase 2C subdivision. The City Council, and it's of course based on findings and subject to the conditions in your report. And there was an extra number 6, and that area is, I think, already been taken care of, but the first 5 are the standard. Number 6 was that all common areas need to be also labeled as retention areas and noted on the final plat that the homeowners association and or property owners will be responsible for maintenance of these particular areas. So we'll just make sure that is completed on the Mylar when it goes forward. So glad to answer any questions the council might have on Phase 2C of Westgate Hills.
Questions or comments?
Well, comments are, it's nice to see it finishing on up. It means that good things are happening on that hillside up there for this point. So it's nice to see that filling on in.
There's no further discussion. I'll motion that we approve the final plat for Westgate Hills, Phase 2C.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second.
Turek, aye.
Sig Miller, aye.
Staley, aye.
Truman, aye.
It is approved. Item 8, consideration to approve the plat vacation for Kensington subdivision lot 2 located approximately 3930 South, 400 East. Applicant Steve Kemp.
So where does the plat go on vacation?
Jai.
You should start riding on Sundays.
Give up my day job.
As stated, this is application to vacate the rest of the Kensington subdivision. It was just recently we vacated out parcel 1. Had a few issues taken care of, some easements, as the council remembers, on parcel 2, which has been you approved at your last city council meeting. Thus, we're back to finish off final straw on Kensington subdivision. Just because of future developments that are needed, we have to remove this and vacate it out so other subdivisions can be put in place. So parcel 1, of course, was the Steeplechase development, which has recorded, and now we're coming back with this particular vacation. Planning Commission reviewed the request at their April 1st meeting. They unanimously recommended approval of the vacation of the final plat of the Kensington subdivision. City Council. And unless you have any questions, again, we're just having to eliminate this subdivision so other things can take place with the developments of this particular area on the Andres's property. So.
No comment, sounds like. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion, Mayor, that we vacate the Kensington subdivision, lot 2, in it tonight, located at approximately 3930 South, 400 East.
Second the motion.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second.
Truman, aye.
Staley, aye.
Sig Miller, aye.
Turek, aye.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. That's approved. Resolution, consideration to approve a resolution approving the municipal wastewater planning program for the state of Utah Water Quality Board. Mike Shaw.
Mayor, Council, it's this time of year that we bring this forward to you. So this is an annual report that we bring to you to do a self-assessment of the condition of our wastewater system. Every year we score relatively high. One area we always get a little mark, but it's a good mark, but it's because of the amount of growth we have compared to other people in the state of Utah. So we get a little deduction on points because we have such a high growth rate, but overall, we get a pretty good score on it. The state uses this report for their planning purposes and grant applications and putting out money to municipalities. If you have any questions.
Oh, in fact, I'll give you a kudo that I heard the other day that said Washington City is probably the best community down here when it comes to their wastewater facilities plans and planning and controlling of those issues. So kudos to you and your department.
The state came out with a new requirement on a wastewater management plan, and we knew that was coming down, and we actually had some incidences where we had some backups and needed a plan in place. So we went ahead and did a full-blown management plan. It's an excellent plan, and actually the first in the state to submit the plan, and the Division of Water Quality was very excited about our plan. I think it's a great plan, and they've been actually mentioning it to other cities that they ought to get a copy of our plan and model theirs after ours. So
It's good.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. No other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make the motion that we approve this resolution approving the municipal wastewater planning program for the state of Utah Water Quality Board.
I'll second that
I
one.
have a motion and a second.
Torrey Guy.
Sig Miller, aye.
Staley, aye.
Truman, I.
Thank you. Might as well stay here, Mike, on the
Yep.
award of bid. Consideration to award a bid for the 2015 slurry seal project. Mike Shaw.
Mayor, Council, again, it's the time of year we do our bidding of our slurry projects. This year we did a bid opening on March 31st. We had 3 companies submit bids to us. We publicly opened those bids, and American Paving is our low bid on the project, and we're requesting to award the bid to American Paving at $424,062.92. American Paving's done projects in here, well, I think probably about 5 years. 5 years they've done projects. Very good company, very good quality work. Very excited they're low bid.
When will the work start on this? Is it
30 days.
30 days?
How did that look compared to what you budgeted for, Mike?
We don't necessarily budget a set amount for slurry. We budget. We have
Did you have an engineer's estimate before?
no. But we know pretty much what our square yardage price is going to be, and we're trying to hit around $450,000 this year. So
On the type 2 slurry, remind me what the size is of the,
type 2 is about a 3/16 aggregate. So that's what we mainly do is the type 2.
I know one year, a few years ago, we went with a little bit
We-
smaller.
We did a type 1, and that
Type 1 and
didn't quite turn out the way we'd like.
is there any discussion in the future to look at any other products on our road
We do.
maintenance
We
and preservation plans?
We definitely will. When we get the ability to start doing newer roads, we will start probably looking more of the fog seals. The fog seals are just as expensive, if not more expensive than the slurry seals. The fog seals, actually, they just put an oil layer over top of the asphalt. There's not a rejuvenating quality, but when you're new enough, you're sealing your oils in. Where the slurry seal will actually add some rejuvenating oils into the asphalt. So that's why we tend to use the slurries, because we're getting caught up. We're at about a 6-year cycle now. We want to get back to that 5-year cycle. Once we get to that 5-year cycle, maybe we can start
Get ahead.
getting ahead and start doing it early on.
I wouldn't mind taking a road trip again and looking at some of the different types of product that we're using and how they've done over the years. If the mayor would entertain something like that.
Yeah, and we've actually used quite a few
road
different
trip.
products in the city. We've done some of the fog seals in the city, HA5. We've done actually a different product It's fairly comparable to the HA5. We've done the type 1 slurries, type 2 slurries, and then last year we did the micro seal.
Yeah, I remember we talked about
Yeah,
that.
or
last
the
year.
micro surface, and we did that up over Telegraph, where that's basically a type 3 slurry that is a quick setting, will fill ruts, will make your road a little bit better ride if you've got some rutting or trenching in it. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to take council out and show them some of the different products we've done.
Could you set that up maybe for a workshop meeting in the future?
And we are actually planning on trying to do some chip seals this year ourselves. We've actually acquired a chipper, a spreader. Santa Clara had the county's old one, and they let us have it, and we had to put some repair work into it, but it gives us the ability to where we can go out and do some chipping on some of our more rural roads without curb and gutter. It's worked out really well.
So I've seen that we've got our own sealer for the cracks and things, right? We usually
Correct.
seal before they slurry. We do that.
Yes,
Chip seal will just be another type of asphalt maintenance service that we'd be able to do
correct.
without a bid or.
Correct. Yeah, we would bid out oil, we bid out the aggregate that we put down.
I guess there's a lot of the cities with lots of roads, basically have their own asphalt programs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. St. George City, they do their own chip seals. They do a lot of the roads with the curb and gutter, but I tend to shy away from that because the cleanup is just horrendous because you're sweeping the chips up off. You get a lot of complaints about the chips rolling up onto the, sidewalks and landscaping. Chip seals are a very coarse surface, especially in a residential area. They tend to really dislike that, and they're not very forgiving on bicycle crashes.
Not many bicycle crashes are forgiving.
Yeah, well, especially on the chip seal. But a chip seal is probably one of our best as far as durability on a road. It has a really good wear surface. It adds a lot of oil to the surface. But
The aggregate's pretty thick.
your 3/8 aggregate is what you normally use on a chip seal.
Thank you,
So
Councilor.
we have improvements for new subdivisions, Mike, with the new roadways. When does the chip seal usually go? Does it come within that warrant? Does that come as a part of the improvements that the developer puts in?
No, it doesn't. But there are communities out there that they require after 1 year of a subdivision recording, they require that they come in and do a seal coat on that asphalt. That'd be a great idea, but man, the kickback we'd get back from the contractors because the added expense, it'd be very expensive.
Does anybody down here do that? Anybody in our county or anybody close to us?
No.
Okay.
I know of a few communities in northern Utah that require it, and they're a little, I don't know how you'd say it, a little upper end communities.
Just say Park City
Park
requires it.
City. There's a couple other.
People that already have a big general fund anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
That reminds me of about 3 different types of songs, doesn't it, with roads? I'm not going to state them tonight.
Oh, sing it, Country Roads.
There's one of them.
Mike, I think you may have said this and I just didn't hear it. American Pavement's done our slurry project.
Probably 5 different times.
Yeah.
But all the contractors that bid, Intermountain, Morgan's done it, did it last year,
Are they
and
the ones that applied the type 1 or there was
No.
an issue with the application of
that, yeah, last year we had an issue with the oil. The oil didn't meet the specs last year, and that was with Morgan. The year prior to that was, I think it was the year prior was Intermountain, and that's when we did the type 1. Or maybe that was,
I remember we weren't.
That's when we did the type
yeah,
one.
the type
and
1
We
was, it
learned
was
from that
Intermountain.
we're probably not, we'd probably rather just pay for a type 2 than deal with kind of the deficiencies of the type 1.
Correct.
Is American out of Vegas?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's one of the positives of American is that they mainly stay in the southwest area, so they're very good at dealing with the hot temperatures and their hot roads. Where Intermountain, Morgan are northern Utah contractors, a lot of northern projects, but they're still excellent contractors.
Yeah, they're priced well too. Roads or something that I think are premium pricing just because maybe be a planter box on your main road. With asphalt, I think you just get the best bid.
With the amount that we do every year, we actually get very good pricing on our slurries, far better than any other communities around because they're not doing quite the square yardages that we are doing.
Did you bring a map to show the planned projects this year?
I didn't, but we can send that to you. We have that.
Maybe you can just kind of generally describe, is it?
We've got a fair amount in Coral Canyon. There's a pretty good amount scattered out throughout the fields. The old part of town, we're going to be doing up the Telegraph.
It's we're, what, 6 years on some of those surfaces? More than that.
Pretty much, we're actually starting to slurry over slurries now. So like Coral Canyon's 5 years.
I guess I was thinking the south of Telegraph.
South of Telegraph, we're right at 5 years. That's completion of the water project, so the new road.
Okay.
So we're right at 5 years on that water project.
Which is, that's our maintenance goal, really.
That is our goal. But I can actually get the maps and actually get them to me so she can drop them in
Yeah,
there.
I found it interesting just to see what's coming. I know sometimes we get questions about the ceiling and whatnot, so it's nice to be able to make a connection.
You bet.
Most of our
We'll
private
do.
developments keep a routine maintenance, kind of like this also.
Some do, some do. And I usually get calls from a lot of the private developments. They know that we're doing it. And I will give them the name of our contractor that year. And our contractor works really well with them. He will give them the same pricing we have in those private roads. So just because he's in town, he can do it at the exact same time. He doesn't have any mobilization, and it just really helps to do all of them and helps those HOAs out immensely by getting a bid from them.
Well, Mayor, if there's no other questions, I'd make the motion that we award the bid for the 2015 slurry seal project. According to the discussion tonight and the bids that were open on March 31st and presented, and that the award be to American Pavement. The price of $424,062.92.
Have a motion, I have a second on that.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Motion and a second.
Staley, aye.
Segment, all right.
Eric, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. And awarded, Mike. Happy slurrying. I really want to sing that song.
Happy slurries.
Okay, we'll move on to item 11, report from the officers from assigned committees. Anything to report this evening? If not, we won't have a city manager report, so we'll move on to item 13.
Mayor,
Yes.
just to do a quick update, because Council's Staley. I spoke with both Fred Davies and Kevin Lewis on the two agreements we're working on there. Fred indicated that, so Fred was with SunTrans, so that's our agreement for the line here in Washington. He said that they received it, gone through it, meaning he has received the agreement, gone through it, passed it on to legal's gone through it. And last he had heard, one of the paralegals working for one of the attorneys in their office, who is in charge of scheduling and following through with getting things as it goes through the council. We're working on it, but he wasn't quite sure where it was because he's only been here a year and a half. He wasn't quite sure how the process worked. So he will now go in and start talking to people, find out what that actually means, when it's going to be on a council agenda. And I told him that I'd meet with him tomorrow, hopefully, because he wants to come and find out some of the information about the transportation funding also tomorrow at the League of Cities, that he could tell me what he found out and tell me who he wanted me to go and talk to, maybe at St. George, to kind of just see what can we do to just to kind of keep that moving from that perspective. Then with Kevin Lewis, that's the Ironman 70.3. Just to find out, I just informed her that we hadn't seen anything since we had met with him, that Chief, I, and Barry had met with Kevin about some of our concerns, and maybe about some of the adjustments on the agreement, so that it didn't seem so onerous on Washington City. And he said he had met with the county attorney involved with it, and had thought that he would have had something back to us by now. I told him, well, having said that, he's gonna do a follow-up with them. And I just reminded him, we had to have something done and back so we could put it on the agenda by the 17th so that it'd be in front of the city council on the 22nd. So I'll work with Kevin to make sure it gets to that point, even if we have to do the modifications on it. Because I told him that I didn't want to see, that look that Council Truman had last time when he looked at it and looked over at me and just, when the comment was made, what's the same agreement we had for the last 5 years? I said, I don't want to see Council Truman look over at me with that same look again. He said, okay, we'll get that fixed. That's update on both those. Hopefully by next week, we'll know where both of those are at.
If an agreement doesn't get ironed out, I assume they'll just be operating under the old, or it's pretty much a free-for-all then?
Yeah, they're pretty much gonna have to go around Washington City boundaries. So I think there's some good incentive at this point
Get it
for us
done.
to get that done.
There might be 170.3.
That's right.
Maybe get a UDOT right away down the interstate without our approval, but.
Yeah, but we don't have to worry about whether or not we cook pancakes in the background and have Washington City Cotton Days in the background. Kevin was very easy to want to work on adjusting that so that the Ironman group also would have no issues with some of the things we had, such as this doesn't apply to when Washington City has Cotton Days, no ambush
That's
marketing.
the point. I mean,
Right.
we're supportive of Ironman, but we've been doing Cotton Days a lot longer, so
Exactly.
let's have them both work around
He
that
clearly
same time.
understood. He clearly understood. And I already had some suggestions that their guy could put in there that said, yeah, recognizing that Washington City already does this and will be doing those things, then, and that those will not be a violation, then we can do that. He didn't think it'd be a problem at all. I think we should be okay.
Any other discussion? If not, I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
Second,
Okay, I have a motion and a second to adjourn.
Daily,
Doug Miller, aye.
Turk, aye.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
The Scouts picked a good night, didn't they?
Yeah, it picked a great night.
They stayed all the way through. Yeah, like that.
See you.
Funny.
See you tomorrow.